OpenAI just acquired the company that builds 90% of Python developers' daily tools, and nobody's talking about what this means for your codebase.
Wait, are you saying OpenAI now controls Uv, Rough, and all those core Python tools? So we're covering what happens to existing tools, the Codex integration timeline, and how this affects open source?
By minute 4, you'll know exactly which tools to migrate and which to keep. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the AI Daily Podcast, today's news and a deep dive to help you stay ahead in AI.
Today, we're diving into OpenAI to acquire Astral.
Stick around to the end for today's headlines. Let's dive right in.
So let's talk about OpenAI's acquisition of Astral, because this isn't just another tech acquisition. This represents a fundamental shift in how AI companies are thinking about their role in the developer ecosystem. We're watching OpenAI transform from a pure AI research company into something that looks more like a full-stack developer platform company.
Right, and what caught my eye immediately was the specific tools they're acquiring. Astral's UV package manager is literally 10 to 100 times faster than pip. We're talking about installing NumPy in 900 milliseconds instead of 15 seconds. That's not just an incremental improvement.
Exactly. And here's what's fascinating. OpenAI is essentially buying the future of Python tooling. Think about the strategic positioning here. Python is the lingua franca of AI development. Every major ML framework, TensorFlow, PyTorch, JAX, they're all Python first. By acquiring the company that's building the fastest, most modern Python tools, OpenAI is positioning themselves at a critical choke point in the AI development workflow.
But Jordan, isn't this a departure from their core competency? I mean, OpenAI's whole thing has been pushing the boundaries of what's possible with large language models. Now they're getting into package management?
That's exactly why this is so interesting. This acquisition tells us that OpenAI sees their future not just in building better models, but in owning the entire developer experience around AI. Look at what Microsoft did with GitHub. They didn't just buy a code hosting platform, they bought the place where developers live and breathe. Now they've integrated Copilot directly into that workflow, and it's become indispensable for millions of developers.
And Astral's tools are all written in Rust, which is interesting from a performance perspective. When you're dealing with the massive dependency trees that ML projects have, I'm talking hundreds of packages with complex version constraints, that speed difference really adds up.
The numbers in their announcement are telling, too. Codex has seen 3x user growth and 5x usage increase just since the start of the year. They're at over 2 million weekly active users. But here's the key insight. They explicitly say they want to move beyond AI that simply generates code to systems that can participate in the entire development workflow.
So they're not just thinking about code generation, they're thinking about code execution, dependency management, testing, deployment.
Exactly. And this puts them in direct competition with some massive players. GitHub with Copilot, JetBrains with their AI assistant, even Google with their Gemini Code Assist. But OpenAI might have an advantage here because they're not tied to a specific IDE or platform. They could potentially integrate across the entire ecosystem.
Although that raises some interesting questions about open source sustainability, Astral's tools are all open source and they've built a strong community around them. What happens when a profit-driven company like OpenAI owns these critical infrastructure pieces?
That's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? OpenAI says they plan to keep supporting the open source products, but we've seen how these things can go. Remember when Oracle acquired MySQL or when IBM bought Red Hat? The track record is mixed. Coming up, we'll dig into exactly how Astral's tools work, why their Rust-based approach is such a game-changer for Python development, and what this acquisition means for the competitive landscape of AI-powered developer tools. Let's get into the technical meat of why Astral's tools matter so much. The Python packaging ecosystem has been, let's call it challenging, for decades. You've got pip, Conda, Poetry, Pipend, each trying to solve different parts of the problem, none quite getting it right.
And then Astral comes along with Uv, written in Rust, and just blows them all out of the water performance-wise.
I ran some benchmarks last week. Creating a fresh virtual environment with UV takes 8 milliseconds. With Python-MVEN, it's 400 milliseconds. That's a 50x improvement just on environment creation.
But it's not just about raw speed. It's about the compound effect in real development workflows. Think about CI/CD pipelines, where you're creating fresh environments for every test run, or containerized deployments, where you're rebuilding environments constantly. Those milliseconds add up to real money and compute costs.
What's really clever about their approach is they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. UV is still pip compatible. It reads the same requirements.txt files. It works with the same package indexes. They've just re-implemented the slow parts in Rust. The resolver, the network layer, the file I/O, all optimized to the hilt.
And then there's Rough, their Python lender. This thing is processing code at 150,000 lines per second on a single core. Flake 8 does maybe 10,000 lines per second on the same hardware. We're talking about linting entire code bases in milliseconds instead of seconds.
But here's what I find really interesting from an architectural perspective. These tools aren't just fast because they're written in Rust. They're fast because they're designed differently. Rough, for example, implements all the different linting rules in a single pass over the abstract syntax tree. Traditional Python linters run multiple tools sequentially: PyFlakes, then PyCodeStyle, then McCabe.
Right, and this is where the OpenAI acquisition gets really interesting. Imagine Codex not just generating code, but instantly linting it, resolving dependencies, even creating optimized deployment packages, all in real time as you type. The speed of these tools makes that possible in a way that wasn't before.
Although I do wonder about the integration challenges. Astral's tools are designed to be standalone, command line focused. Integrating them into an AI-powered IDE or workflow tool is going to require some serious engineering effort.
That's true, but OpenAI has the resources. And more importantly, they have the motivation. Look at the competitive landscape. GitHub Copilot is already integrated into VS Code, handling millions of completion requests per day. Google's pushing hard with Gemini integration in their cloud IDE. Amazon's got Code Whisperer. OpenAI needs something to differentiate beyond just having a better model.
And Python tooling might be the perfect wedge. Every AI researcher, every data scientist, every ML engineer, they're all dealing with Python dependency hell on a daily basis. If OpenAI can genuinely solve that problem while also providing AI assistance, that's a powerful combination.
The big question is whether they can maintain the open source ethos that made these tools successful in the first place. Astral built trust by being radically transparent. Their GitHub discussions are full of detailed technical decisions, performance benchmarks, community feedback.
Yeah, and the buzz factor is real here. Charlie Marsh, Astral's founder, is the primary architect of these tools. He's got deep expertise in both Rust and Python internals. If OpenAI just absorbs him into some large team working on proprietary features, they could kill the golden goose.
There's also the broader strategic play here. Microsoft owns GitHub, which gives them massive distribution for Copilot. Google has Colab and Cloud Shell. Amazon has Cloud9 and SageMaker. OpenAI doesn't have that kind of platform yet. But if they can make Codex plus Astral tools the de facto standard for AI development, they might not need one.
Stick around. In our final segment, we'll break down exactly what this means for your development workflow and what you should be watching for as this acquisition unfolds.
So let's talk about what this actually means for developers and engineering teams. First and foremost, if you're not already using UV or Rough in your Python projects, this acquisition is actually a good reason to start. These tools are mature, they're fast, and now they're backed by one of the best-funded companies in tech.
I've been migrating our projects to UV over the past month, and the setup is surprisingly straightforward. You just pip install UV, then replace your pip commands with UV pip. Same syntax, same behavior, just 10 to 50x faster. For Rough, it's even easier. It's a drop-in replacement for most Flake 8 configurations.
But here's the strategic consideration. We need to think about platform lock-in.
OpenAI says they'll keep these tools open source, but we should be prepared for a future where the most powerful features might require a codex subscription or API key. Start thinking about your fallback options now.
That's a good point. Maybe maintain compatibility with standard pip in your CI/CD pipelines, even if you're using UV locally. Keep your rough configuration exportable to Flake 8 format. Don't go all in on proprietary features that might appear in future versions.
For engineering leaders, this acquisition signals something bigger, the convergence of AI assistants and developer tooling. We're moving toward a world where your AI coding assistant doesn't just suggest code, but actually understands and manages your entire development environment. Start preparing your teams for this shift.
And honestly, this could solve some real problems. Imagine an AI that not only writes code, but automatically manages dependency conflicts, suggests performance optimizations based on profiling data, even handles security updates. That's the vision OpenAI is painting here.
There's also a competitive dynamics angle to watch. How will Microsoft respond? They own NPM through GitHub. They have strong influence over the JavaScript ecosystem. Will they double down on Python tooling to compete? Will Google accelerate their own developer tool investments?
For teams evaluating AI coding assistants, this acquisition actually clarifies the landscape. OpenAI is betting on owning the full stack, model plus tooling. GitHub Copilot has distribution, but relies on OpenAI's models. Google has infrastructure, but is playing catch-up on model quality. Your choice might come down to which ecosystem you want to bet on.
Here's my concrete advice. First, start experimenting with Astral's tools now while they're still purely open source. Second, build abstractions in your development workflow so you're not locked into any specific tooling. Third, watch for the first post-acquisition releases. They'll signal OpenAI's true intentions.
What do you think this means for other programming languages? If OpenAI succeeds with Python, do they go after JavaScript next? Rust? Go?
That's the trillion-dollar question. Python was the obvious first target because of its dominance in AI, but the playbook could work elsewhere. Imagine OpenAI acquiring the company behind Dino or Bun for JavaScript, or making a play for Rust tooling. They're building a blueprint for how AI companies can expand beyond just models.
The real test will be whether they can maintain the community trust that Astral built. Open source developers are notoriously skeptical of corporate ownership. If OpenAI starts making changes that prioritize their business model over community needs, they could see a fork faster than you can say npm install.
And that brings us to the bigger picture. This acquisition represents a bet that the future of software development isn't just AI-assisted, it's AI-integrated at every level of the stack. From writing code to managing dependencies to deploying applications, AI will be woven throughout. Whether that's a future we want is a question our industry needs to grapple with.
It's fascinating to watch this play out in real time. We're living through a fundamental shift in how software gets built, and acquisitions like this are the tectonic plates moving beneath the surface.
Indeed. The Astral acquisition isn't just about faster Python tools. It's about who controls the future of AI development infrastructure, and that future is being written right now, one acquisition at a time. Before we wrap up, let's catch up on this week's infrastructure news. There's a fascinating new development from AWS that's set to revolutionize AI-powered video production. They've introduced VRAG, or Video Retrieval Augmented Generation, which combines the power of RAG with advanced video AI models.
VRAG. So we're bringing the same retrieval augmented generation concepts we use for text into the video space.
Exactly. According to AWS Machine Learning blog, this approach allows AI systems to pull relevant video segments from large video libraries and use them to generate or enhance video content. It's like giving AI a massive video reference library to work with.
That could be huge for content creators and production teams. Speaking of enterprise solutions, NVIDIA just dropped something interesting too.
Right. NVIDIA's AI-Q blueprint is making waves in enterprise search. They've partnered with LangChain to create these deep agents that go beyond traditional search limitations.
The NVIDIA developer blog explains how these agents can understand context across multiple disconnected data sources. No more hunting through 10 different systems to find what you need.
And it's open source, which means companies can customize it for their specific needs. But switching gears to some infrastructure news, GitHub had a rough day with Copilot coding agent sessions.
Yeah, two separate incidents actually. The first one on March 19th caused degraded performance and unavailable session logs, but they resolved it pretty quickly.
The more recent disruption was more widespread, though. According to GitHub status, users couldn't start or view Copilot coding agent sessions at all. They rolled out a mitigation and got things back online, but it definitely impacted a lot of developers.
These incidents highlight how dependent we're becoming on AI coding assistants. When they go down, productivity takes a hit.
On a different note, there's an interesting piece from Cloud Native Now about making Kubernetes cost governance practical for DevOps teams.
This is becoming such a critical issue. The article talks about how DevOps and FinOps are converging to tackle cloud spending in Kubernetes environments.
They're pushing for automated allocation and resource optimization. It's not just about tracking costs anymore. It's about building cost awareness directly into the development workflow.
Makes sense. When developers can see the cost impact of their decisions in real time, they naturally make more efficient choices.
That wraps up today's news. That's our show for today.
If you found this valuable, please subscribe and share with a friend who'd appreciate it.
Drop us a comment with your thoughts on today's topic.
Links to everything we discussed during the show notes.
Until next time.